everyone!
As my boyfriend says, threads everywhere. Does it happen to you too when you sew?
And welcome to a new video. It's one I'm very excited about because it will consist of me making the popular blue dress with red belt from Sofia Coppola movie Marie Antoinette.
This costume has always been one of my favorites ever since I first saw the movie in 2006. And anyway, this movie has made me love 18th century clothing. I would not call this video a tutorial because it will be more talking about the process of making. And I had to say, this sewing project was full of complications, so that's why I can't imagine that I should instruct you how to create this dress. But among other things, I will try outline my mistakes so that you can avoid them. First, let's take a closer look at this wonderful dress. In the movie, Marie Antoinette wore this dress when she is dreaming about her lover Axel de Fersen, and then at the end when she is dining with her husband King Louis, and you can hear the sounds of angry mob in the background. In the movie, there are a lot of beautiful dresses designed by Milena Canonero, but I think that this dress is remembered by many people for the strong contrast of the pale blue color of the dress and the red belt. Thanks to posts on the site Costumer's Guide, where you can find a lot of more information about this dress and other costumes from other movies, I was able to confirm that the fabric is most likely silk shantung or dupion. Getting silk is no problem, but for a long time I was not able to find the right color shade because dress changes color, so sometimes it looks pale blue and sometimes almost pale green. But then I realized that I already have it. Do you remember my video about a Edwardian dress made of fine silk canvas? Fortunately, I have a lot of this fabric left and the color perfectly matched the color of the dress. The smaller disadvantage of this fabric is that it makes wrinkles more, and yes, the dupion is stiffer, but at least I stay faithful to silk material. The gown seems to have backs that are cut en fourreau. Term en fourreau describes a pleated back English gown or nightgown where two back panels are actually one piece with a skirt. Some of examples of this pattern you can find in a book called Fashion of Pattern by Janet Arnold. Although I usually use draping method to create the pattern, this book always helps me to find out how the pattern actually should look like. For inspiration, you can also use the book The American Duchess Guide to 18th Century Dressmaking. So now, let's get into the sewing process and I hope you will enjoy this. First, I have made the lining from white cotton. I sewed all pieces together, but this time I did not make the tunnels for the bones. I assess they will not be needed for this type of the dress. When you wear a corset under your dress, I think you don't necessarily have to use the bones. Then I started working on the upper layers, in my case with silk. Keeping in mind, when you are working with silk, do not wash the fabric before sewing and select a low temperature for ironing. Because for example, I've burned my silk with an iron. First, I cut out the panels for the petticoat. Everything went well. I've set the parts of the petticoat at sides. Before sewing, I measure out 20 cm from the top of the petticoat for opening, and then I create pleating on the top of the petticoat. But then I realized that the petticoat is flat in the front, so I had to unpick my pleating and then I had to start again. But my hard fight with the petticoat did not end. At first, I did a small pleats on the hips, but in the front, the petticoat did not look flat. So finally, I decided to do a pleats of greater width on the hips, and then I was satisfied. Then I had a little problem with the satin binding. First, I know that using satin for binding is probably not a good idea, but I wanted to look good, but in the end, the binding made wrinkles too much and it doesn't look good at all. And I reinforced the satin with no woven fabric. After I finished my petticoat, I started working on the open front rope. First, I cut out the front and then the back en fourreau pieces. The first important step is to pleat the back. Like the earlier mantua, from which it evolved, the back part features pleats from the shoulder to fit the wearer. I used the one pleat meeting at the center back and one outward pleats on each side. I wanted to be at least a little historically accurate, so I tried to save the pleats with the running stitches, but then I found out that the seams on my back will be very stressed and it will stretch a lot. So I've saved the piece from the wrong side by my sewing machine, and then I sewed it with the running stitches to make it look historically accurate. But it was just for my good feeling. After finishing the back, I pinned and sewed the front at sides and at shoulders. Then I had a little problem with the pleating of the skirt. As you know, there are two panels in the middle which form one part with the skirt and are followed by the pleating. For a long time, I didn't know how best to connect the middle panels with the pleats. So first, I sewed the skirts at sides and then I turned the seam allowances of the back pleats towards the center of the back. Then I cut the fabric up to the back panels and I started to pleat the skirt. I insert the first fold under the center panel, and this was made possible by previous step with adjustment of the seam allowances from the wrong side. The size of the pleats can differ, but I think the narrow ones can create the best effect. After finishing the pleating of the skirt, I prefer to reinforce the edges of the seam allowances with the glue for seam allowances, especially in the place at the back center panels. But don't forget to keep the wet edges away from other fabrics of the dress until it dries. Then I pin the bodice over the top of the skirt and then I stitch it by hand. In the next step, I sew the lining to the bodice, and because the dress fastened edge to edge at the center front, I sew the tape with hooks and eyes. I prefer to use the tape because I think it holds the shape of the fastening edges better. The sleeves are made of two pieces, upper and lower section. This tight military-looking sleeve was often a feature of late 18th century gown and was an opportunity to display large and beautiful buttons. And so it is with this dress. The lower sleeve has a wide cuff with a bottom flap that extends up past the edge of the cuff a bit. On it are 3 fabric cover buttons. The cuffs were made practically without any problems. Only after sewing the cuff to the sleeve, I had to cut the seam allowances in the place of the placket for the buttons, so that I could insert seam allowances inward the sleeve between the lining and the upper layer. I didn't expect such a problem to arise, and I'm not sure if I sew it in a professional way, but the important thing is that in the end it worked. Sleeve ruffles are an integral part of the cuff. These ruffles are made of striped organza. I did not find a similar organza anywhere in the store, so I said to myself that I'll do my best and I will make it myself from white organza and pale blue ribbons. And I'm very proud of the result. Then I sewed the ruffles in the bottom of the cuff. Now the dress was almost finished and it was time to decorate it. I started with trimming from white organza. This trimming is called pink trimming and it was extremely popular in the 18th century decoration. For more information about this trimming, check out the book The American Duchess Guide to 18th Century Dressmaking. I made 2 types of trimming, one wide for the skirt and front part and then one narrow for the sleeve and the neckline. The belt I made from red velvet. I had 2 available and I really liked the one with a touch of a burgundy color, but the red one matched the original more. I reinforced the back side with no-woven fabric and then I sewed together pieces of the belt. Under the buckle, which I bought in a second hand, I created a snap fastening. The fastening will be set under the buckle of the belt, so it will be not shown. You may have noticed that the buckle is not identical to the one in the movie, but I just fell in love with this one and I like it much more. The last thing I did was the lace tucker, which decorates the neckline of the dress. The lace tucker was very popular in the 18th century, and if you want to look like a true 18th century lady, lace tucker should be an integral part of your dress. I made mine from French lace and then I sew it to the neckline. And tada, we're done! Despite many complications, I successfully finished the dress and I really like it. I even tried to create the same hairstyle as a Kristen Dunst had in a movie, but my hair looks more like a mushroom cap. So that's all. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Feel free to add a comment if you have any questions, and I will be very pleased if you click on subscribe, and then I'll be looking forward to seeing you at the next video. So thank you so much for watching and bye!